Hello everyone, আজি আমি VAC পেপাৰ এনভাইৰনমেণ্টেল ষ্টাডিজৰ প্ৰিভিয়াছ ইয়াৰৰ কোৱেশ্চন দেখিম। এই পেপাৰটো বেলেগ সেমিষ্টাৰত থাকিব পাৰে। তোমালোকে এই পেপাৰ এনভাইৰনমেণ্টেল ষ্টাডিজৰ সিলেবাছ একেই আছে, তাৰ কাৰণে একেই এইবিলাক দেখিবা। বাহিৰৰ হাই কাজিয়াৰ বাবে মই AI ভইচ অভাৰ দিম।
1. Answer the following questions as directed. 1 times 5 equals 5 marks A. The group of biotic components of an ecosystem are producer, consumer, and decomposer. Fill in the blank. Answer, decomposer. B. Which unit is used to measure the intensity of sound? Answer, decibel, dB, C. Mention the process by which green plants prepare their own food. Answer, photosynthesis. D. Define renewable resource. Answer, a renewable resource is a natural resource which can be replenished naturally with the passage of time. Examples include solar energy, wind energy, and forests. E. Mention one source of air pollution. Answer, emissions from vehicles or industrial exhausts, burning of fossil fuels. 2. Answer any 5 of the following questions. 2 times 5 equals 10 marks. A. What is a food web? Answer, a food web is a complex interconnected network of multiple food chains within an ecosystem. It represents the natural interconnection of food chains and a graphical representation of what eats what. Unlike a linear food chain, a food web shows how different organisms are connected through multiple feeding relationships, providing greater stability to the ecosystem. B. Write a short note on Wildlife Protection Act. Answer, the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 is a comprehensive legislation in India enacted to protect the country's wild animals, birds, and plant species. Its main objectives are to prohibit the hunting of specified wild animals, to establish a network of protected areas like national parks and sanctuaries, and to regulate the trade of wildlife and its products. The Act provides schedules that categorize species based on the level of protection they need, with the highest penalties for offenses related to Schedule 1 species. C. What do you mean by sustainable development? Answer, sustainable development is a development model that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. It aims to balance economic growth, social well-being, and environmental protection. It involves the careful use of resources, minimizing environmental damage, and ensuring equitable distribution of benefits. D. What do you mean by global warming? Answer, global warming refers to the long-term rise in the average temperature of the Earth's climate system. It is primarily caused by the increased concentrations of greenhouse gases, like carbon dioxide and methane in the atmosphere, due to human activities such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and industrial processes. This enhanced greenhouse effect traps more heat, leading to a gradual increase in planetary temperatures. E. Write features of common property resource. Answer, 2 features of common property resources are: 1. Non-excludability. It is difficult to prevent any individual from using the resource. The resource is accessible to all members of a community or society. 2. Rivalry. The use of the resource by one person reduces the amount available for others. For example, if one fisherman catches too many fish, fewer are left for others. F. Distinguish between ecology and ecosystem. Answer, basis of difference. Ecology-ecosystem definition. It is the scientific study of the interactions between organisms and their environment. It is a functional unit of nature where living organisms, biotic components, interact with their non-living, abiotic environment. Scope, it is a broad branch of biology. It is a specific community and its physical environment. Concept, it is the study of relationships. It is the place where these relationships are observed. G, what do you mean by food chain? Answer, a food chain is a linear sequence of organisms through which nutrients and energy pass as one organism eats another. It starts with a producer, usually a plant, which is eaten by a primary consumer, herbivore, which in turn may be eaten by a secondary consumer, carnivore, and so on. For example, grass, grasshopper, frog, snake, hawk. H. Write 2 functions of ecosystem. Answer. 2 key functions of an ecosystem are 1. Energy flow, the unidirectional flow of energy from the sun to producers and then to various levels of consumers. 2. Nutrient cycling, the recycling of essential nutrients like carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus between the biotic and abiotic components of the environment. I. Write 2 measures to control industrial pollution. Answer. 2 measures to control industrial pollution are 1. Installation of effluent treatment plants, ETPs, treating wastewater physically, chemically, and biologically before releasing it into water bodies to remove harmful pollutants. 2. Use of scrubbers and electrostatic precipitators, installing air pollution control devices in factory chimneys to remove particulate matter and toxic gases from industrial emissions. J. Write 2 characteristics of private good. Answer. 2 characteristics of a private good are 1. Excludability. Owners can prevent others from using the good. For example, a person who buys a shirt can exclude others from wearing it. 2. Rivalry. Consumption by one individual reduces the availability of the good for another. If one person eats an apple, that same apple cannot be consumed by anyone else. 3. Answer any 3 of the following question 5 times. 3 equals 15 marks A. Discuss the scope and importance of environmental studies. Answer. Environmental studies is a multidisciplinary, academic field that systematically studies human interaction with the environment. Scope. The scope of environmental studies is vast and encompasses many areas. 1. Ecology and ecosystems, understanding the structure and function of ecosystems. 2. Natural resource management, studying the conservation and sustainable use of resources like water, forests, and minerals. 3. Environmental pollution, analyzing the causes, effects, and control measures of various types of pollution. 4. Social issues, addressing problems related to population growth, urbanization, and their impact on the environment. 5. Environmental legislation and policies, studying laws like the Environment Protection Act, Wildlife Protection Act, etc. 6. Sustainable development, focusing on development models that do not harm the environment. Importance. 1. To understand environmental issues. It helps us understand complex issues like climate change, ozone layer depletion, and global warming. 2. To achieve sustainable development, it teaches us to utilize resources judiciously without compromising the needs of future generations. 3. Conservation of biodiversity. It creates awareness about the importance of conserving wildlife and ecosystems. 4. Empowerment of citizens. It equips people with the knowledge to make informed decisions and demand action from the government. 5. Career opportunities. It opens up various career paths in research, activism, management, and engineering focused on the environment. B. What is solid waste? Discuss the sources and effects of solid waste. Answer. Solid waste refers to any discarded, unwanted, or non-liquid waste material generated from human activities in residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional areas. Sources of solid waste. 1. Domestic residential waste, generated from homes, e.g. food scraps, paper, plastic, glass, textiles. 2. Commercial waste, from shops, offices, restaurants, e.g. where packaging materials, waste paper. 3. Industrial waste, from manufacturing and construction processes, e.g. scrap metal, chemicals, rubble. 4. Agricultural waste, from farms and orchards, e.g. crop residues, animal manure. 5. Biomedical waste, from hospitals and clinics, e.g. syringes, bandages, medicines. 6. E-waste, discarded electronic appliances, e.g. computers, mobile phones. Effects of solid waste. 1. Environmental pollution. Improperly disposed waste contaminates soil and groundwater through leachate formation. Burning of waste pollutes the air. 2. Health hazards. It acts as a breeding ground for disease-carrying vectors like mosquitoes, flies, and rats, leading to the spread of diseases like cholera, dengue, and plague. 3. Aesthetic degradation. Piles of garbage in open areas create visual blight and produce foul odors, degrading the quality of life. 4. Global warming. Decomposing organic waste in landfills produces methane, a potent greenhouse gas. 5. Economic costs. Managing and cleaning up solid waste requires significant financial resources from municipalities and governments. C. Discuss about the Environmental Protection Act, 1986. Answer: the Environment Protection Act, 1986 is a landmark legislation in India that was enacted in the wake of the Bhopal gas tragedy. It was passed under Article 253 of the Indian Constitution to implement the decisions of the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment. Key features and provisions of the Act. 1. Umbrella legislation. It provides a comprehensive framework for the protection and improvement of the environment, filling gaps in existing laws. 2. Central government's power. The Act empowers the central government to take all necessary measures for protecting and improving environmental quality. 3rd, rulemaking power. The government can set standards for the quality of the environment as well as for emissions or discharges of pollutants from various sources. 4. Handling of hazardous substances. The Act regulates the management and handling of hazardous materials. 5. Establishment of authorities. It allows for the appointment of officers to exercise powers and functions for environmental protection. 6. Penalties. It prescribes severe penalties for non-compliance, including imprisonment for up to 5 years or a fine or both. The polluter pays principle is also inherent in its provisions.
Significance. The EPA 1986 is a powerful tool for environmental management. It has enabled the government to frame various rules on hazardous waste, biomedical waste, plastic waste, and noise pollution. It serves as the primary legal backbone for environmental regulation and enforcement in India. D. Discuss about the energy flow in an ecosystem. Answer: energy flow in an ecosystem is the unidirectional transfer of energy from one trophic level to the next in a food chain. It is governed by the laws of thermodynamics. Process of energy flow. 1. Entry of energy. The flow of energy begins with the sun. Solar energy is captured by autotrophs, producers, like green plants, through the process of photosynthesis. This light energy is converted into chemical energy stored in the form of carbohydrates. 2. Transfer to consumers. The energy stored in producers is then transferred to primary consumers, herbivores, when they eat the plants. Primary consumers are then eaten by secondary consumers, carnivores, who may in turn be eaten by tertiary consumers. 3. Loss of energy at each trophic level. At each trophic level, a large amount of energy, approximately 80 to 90%, is lost as heat due to metabolic processes like respiration, locomotion, and reproduction. This is in accordance with the 10% law proposed by Raymond Lindemann. According to this law, only about 10% of the energy is transferred from one trophic level to the next. 4. Role of decomposers. When organisms die, decomposers, bacteria and fungi, break down the organic matter. During this process, they release the remaining energy into the environment as heat and recycle the nutrients back into the soil. Key characteristics. 1. Unidirectional flow. Energy flows from the sun to producers and then to consumers. It does not cycle back to the sun. 2. Progressive decline. The amount of energy decreases at each successive trophic level, which is why food chains are typically short, rarely exceeding 4 to 5 levels. 3. Pyramidal representation. This energy loss is graphically represented as an upright pyramid of energy, with a broad base of producers and a narrow apex of top carnivores. E. Explain the consequences of climate change. Answer: climate change, driven primarily by human-induced global warming, has severe and far-reaching consequences for the planet's ecological systems and human society. Environmental consequences. 1. Rising sea levels, thermal expansion of seawater, and the melting of glaciers and polar ice caps are causing sea levels to rise. This leads to coastal erosion, flooding of low-lying areas, and salinization of freshwater sources. 2. Extreme weather events. The frequency and intensity of extreme weather events like heat waves, droughts, intense cyclones, hurricanes, and heavy rainfall are increasing. 3. Loss of biodiversity. Many plant and animal species cannot adapt to the rapid changes in temperature and habitat, leading to shifts in their ranges and an increased risk of extinction. Coral reefs are particularly vulnerable to bleaching due to warmer oceans. 4th, ocean acidification. Increased CO2 levels are being absorbed by the oceans, making them more acidic. This harms marine organisms with calcium carbonate shells, such as corals and plankton, disrupting the entire marine food web. Socioeconomic consequences. 1. Impact on agriculture and food security. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns can lead to crop failures, reduced yields, and new pest infestations, threatening global food supplies. 2. Water scarcity. Altered rainfall patterns and the melting of glaciers, which are a primary water source for millions, are leading to acute water shortages in many regions. 3. Health risks. Climate change increases the risk of heat stroke, the spread of vector-borne diseases, like malaria and dengue, and malnutrition due to food shortages. 4. Displacement of people. Rising sea levels and extreme events can render areas uninhabitable, creating climate refugees and leading to social and political conflicts over resources. F. Explain the causes and consequences of noise pollution. Answer. Noise pollution is defined as the presence of unwanted or excessive sound that can have detrimental effects on human health and environmental quality. Causes of noise pollution. 1. Transportation sources. The biggest contributor in urban areas. This includes noise from road traffic, cars, trucks, horns, airplanes, aircraft takeoff and landing, and railways. 2. Industrial and construction activities. Factories using heavy machinery, generators, pneumatic drills, and construction equipment like jackhammers and bulldozers produce intense and continuous noise. 3. Domestic and social events. Loudspeakers used in religious ceremonies, weddings, and public announcements, along with loud household appliances, vacuum cleaners, mixers, contribute to noise pollution. Other sources. Firecrackers during festivals, loud music from parks and clubs, and noise from agricultural machinery are also significant sources. Consequences of noise pollution. Health effects on humans. Hearing loss. Prolonged exposure to high noise levels can cause permanent hearing impairment. Physiological effects. It can lead to hypertension, increased heart rate, cardiovascular problems, and stress-induced headaches. Psychological effects. It causes annoyance, sleep disturbances, difficulty in concentration, and reduced work efficiency. Effects on wildlife. Communication interference. Excessive noise can interfere with the communication, reproduction, and navigation of animals, especially those that rely on sound, like birds, whales, and dolphins. Behavioral changes. It can cause stress and force animals to alter their habitats. 3. Property damage. Very high-intensity sound, such as from sonic booms, can cause vibrations strong enough to crack walls and windows.